I felt like I've always been fighting my entire life.
Yeah.
Didn't have a really great upbringing. So I've had to survive.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. I'm just constantly in survival mode, making sure that every day is better than the last, and really trying to make sure that anybody's life that I enter that day, that I make an impact.
Welcome to the Infinite Cashflow Prodcast. We're here again with an incredible episode. Today, I have my friend Jenelle Bezdek from Supreme Realty Group. She is a top real estate agent here in the Denver area, and I am so excited to be here with you, Jenelle. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we've been talking about having this podcast for a little while.
Yes.
And it's been exciting because I know a little bit of your story, and I think that people out there are going to be so blessed at hearing your journey and your success story and all the things that you've done that have culminated into one of the most successful real estate agents here in Denver. So please introduce yourself to the audience and tell them a little bit of who you are.
Okay, well, my name is Jenelle Bezdek. I've been in Colorado here for 32 years. I am the broker and owner of Supreme Realty Group, which I opened 19 years ago. I've been an agent for 22, and I have filtered through many agents through here and taught them the industry, and gave them not just the skills to sell real estate, but the motivation, the ambition, and the desire to want to do this job in the best way they can possible. And I'm happy to say I've got some successful realtors out there.
That's awesome. Now, there's so many people that want to be a realtor, right? A lot of people cycle through this industry, go in, go out, quit, a year in. What do you think makes the difference, and what made the difference for you to pick real estate as your career and stick with it versus everybody else out there that, sounds glamorous, sounds exciting. Hey, you're going to dress up and show homes. But at the end of the day, it's not that easy.
No, it's not that easy. It kind of reminds me of the South Park video that just came out that says if you hug people and you dress nice and hug people, you'll make $1 million. So it should be easy. No, I didn't initially know that I was going to go into real estate. I was working as an office manager for 10 years at a company I absolutely loved. My husband is a general contractor, and he works extremely hard. So I thought there's no way that he can do this, his whole life. So we've got to figure something out for his retirement.
Yeah.
And this was in 2003, which back then was a great time for fix and flips. And so I thought, I'll on the side, I'll get my real estate license and we'll buy properties and he can fix them up, or we'll save them as a rental for our future. And that's what our retirement was going to be about. And then, the opportunity came up for me to make a decision between those two careers. And because I like a challenge, and I thought, I saw a future in real estate much more than I did the job that I had. So I went home and I said, I think I'm going to quit the job today. And, Clint is always behind me 110%. So he's like, you got it. Let's make it work. And the next day I woke up and I was like, oh my goodness, I have no paycheck. I have no insurance. I have nothing. I have no retirement.
Yeah.
And so that was the motivation to be like, I have to make this work. I have to be successful. And I think being desperate is a great motivator.
Yeah.
And that's what I was. We had a 4 and a 6-year-old at home, and Clint was an entrepreneur. And so we had to make sure that our kids had, clothes and food. So I went out and I hustled, and I never took a day off for 7 months. And I just worked super, super hard and started building a clientele. And I knew from them, I started out as a metro broker, and I was that for 2 years. And then I knew I wanted to go out on my own at some point because I wanted to do things the way I wanted to do things.
Right.
And I wanted to take care of people. I knew the only way I was going to be able to do that was if I set the rules.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And that's when I opened up Supreme Realty Group. And it's It's been fantastic. I can't say that it's been easy.
Yes.
The whole year, because I get a lot of phone calls now of people who want to be in real estate, especially like in 2022,
Yeah.
when our market was just flourishing and literally people thought we just put a sign in the yard and then boom, we made tons of money. And that was the case in some houses because we were selling so quickly, but there's a lot of work that goes into that. So I had a lot of people, and I still just had an agent or a college student call me a couple days ago and wants to be talk about being a realtor, and I am 1,000% transparent. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat this
Yeah.
because that doesn't help either one of us. But it's a lot of time, it's a lot of dedication, it's a lot of sacrifices. The amount of sacrifices I have made in these 22 years is something that people just don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't comprehend what it takes to be successful in any field,
That's
not just real estate. Yeah. So it's definitely not sign in the yard and money in the bank. So
let's go back a little bit, because you like breeze right through it. On, you full-time mom, young ones in the house, 4 and 6, 4 and 6, 2 girls, and you decide to completely change careers from a steady paycheck, health benefits, and now you're going into this complete new field that at that point, Clint, your husband, is a contractor, so you knew maybe a little bit of the construction side of it, but not so much on the sales and transactions and things like that. Now, before that, had you sold anything before? Have you been sales? Okay,
No.
sales completely new to you.
I was in the restaurant industry in my 20s, and this was 30. I was in my early 30s, and no, and real estate school didn't even prepare me for what I had to do. I mean, that just told me how to not get into jail, doing the wrong things, but it didn't tell me, like, the day I started, the next day after I left the office, I sat at that desk, got up like I normally would, and I sat at that desk, and I'm like, now what?
What'd I do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And then I got my first client, and I'm like, okay, now what?
Yeah, that's all right.
And so I'd been through hundreds and hundreds of inspections, and I just, and I'm very motivated, and I love to self-teach. And
Now, in those early days, did you have a good mentor, or you kind of had to do trial and error?
I didn't have a great mentor. We all have a managing broker that we have to work under,
Yeah.
and there wasn't a whole lot of guidance there.
Yeah.
And so even when I started my own company, you have to increase your education and get your managing broker license. And everything that I had taught myself is what kept me going. And then I think I love marketing. So then after that, it became, okay, I got to come up with a logo and a company and all of that. And I love that part of it. And I just thought, okay, well, again, we got to keep moving forward and make this happen.
Now, for those guys out there that are wanting to do this, and you mentioned about, college kid wants to get this started, or somebody that it's younger, or maybe somebody that wants a career change.
Absolutely.
It's not a walk in the park. It's going to be a lot of work, a lot of hours, weekends, evenings, basically 24/7 if you want to be successful, right? Because I think, would you agree that not many 9-to-5 real estate agents make it?
Would agree to that.
Yeah.
Almost none.
Yeah. So that's the case. Sounds like you didn't have like a great mentor going in. So with someone starting this, should they actually shop around and pick a great managing broker and a mentor? Is that an important thing? How would that have changed your journey if you had
Well, I had a friend who was a managing broker, and he was a great guy. He was a really great guy, and he's still in real estate and very successful. But so I didn't, he helped me out by allowing me to work for him the next day. But it really is important looking back now, because even when I have agents or people come in and interview with me,
Yep.
I work by referral only. So I'm not I'm not going to pay for referrals. I'm not going to cold call. I'm not going to do any of that. My belief is to take care of people, and then they take care of you. And that's what they've been doing. I mean, we've been through many different markets in the last 22 years. And when everybody else is down, my clients, they just come through for me, and they continue to refer me. And so I've kept very busy, very successful for all these years because of my clients and how they respect me and I respect them, and they just keep me going.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you've been in real estate 22 years. How many homes have you sold?
Almost 1,000.
Almost 1,000.
Yeah,
That's a big number.
it is.
Yeah. That is exciting. And here in Denver, that's a big dollar number as well.
Yes.
Now, you've been in the Denver market your whole time?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you've seen, obviously, this market explode in value of homes and, of course, demand and everything else for a long, long time, with peaks and valleys, I'm sure. But what is one of the things that, along the journey was maybe this tipping point for you of, hey, now I think I've made it? Because I think, as a new entrepreneur, and it was for me when I was just getting started, the first 3 to 5 years were the toughest. I was just, putting everything back into the business, trying to make my money, make my profit, and really hungry to be at a place where I like, okay, maybe I can take a break this weekend, or maybe I can go on a trip or a vacation, or maybe I can take a salary and not put everything back in the business. So
Yeah, I
how
know what point was.
how was it for you?
That was 7 years in
Okay.
to my business. I was literally started every January broke for the first 7 years, because you in real estate, you have to put your money in before you make any,
Right.
with signs and all the people don't understand how many associations you have to be a part of, and the showing companies, and all this stuff, business cards, and that you have to be a part of before you even sell a house. And so there's a lot of money that goes into it. And I would just keep putting things in. Like, I'd have to buy more signs and more business cards, and then I need printers, and I need all of this stuff. And then I worked out of my house for 18, 19 years.
Wow.
And so I kept putting that money back and putting that money back. And then at the end of the year, I always throw my client party. And that pretty much ate up the rest of my money. And then, oh, wow, I had taxes.
Wow.
Like, nobody teaches you that part of real estate. So making sure that in each commission check, you set a little bit aside there and a little bit aside here, because that tax check is really going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
So by the end of December, it was all gone.
Wow.
It was all gone, and I started over. So at year 7, I actually went into January with some money, and I'm like, I'm there. I made it. I've done it. So, and then kind of the rest is history. So you just make sure you get a knowledge, then you know how to save, and you know how to put things aside, and then start planning for the future.
I love it. So 7 years in. Now, a lot of times when I see this industry, there's a lot of real estate agents, and they're making money, the ones that don't quit. They're making money. They're staying steady. But one thing that I notice is a lot of them never invest in real estate. They sell, they make their commissions, they make their money, they have cash in the bank, they are profitable, but they never eat their own food, if you will.
Yes.
Do you see that a lot as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that I wish, back in the day when I started, you could buy a house for under $150,000. I know in Harvey Park,
Yeah.
investors were buying houses at like 80, 90,000.
Wow.
That are now 600,000.
Wow.
And it's hard to comprehend. And, I was broke, so I didn't have the option to buy any properties then. But it's kind of a saying, if I only knew, then what I know now, I would have bought neighborhoods at that point.
Yeah.
But yes, if realtors don't, they're selling a product and they're selling themselves, but if they don't believe in it themselves or have the ability to invest in what they're selling, something's wrong there.
Yeah.
Either they don't know how to make money at what they're doing, so they don't fully believe in themselves, and 2, they don't see the value in what they sell because they're not investing themselves.
Yeah, and I think, it goes back to as well the idea of they teach us how to make money, they teach us how to save money, but there's really no formal education on investing, acquiring assets, buying homes, buying buildings, apartments, whatever, right? So you and Clint have accumulated now a nice portfolio of homes that you bought over the years, Tell me a little bit about that. Like, when did that start? Was that right away when you started? I know you told me that Plint as a contractor, you went to do some fix and flips and maybe hold. But when did that started, and when did it start making a lot of sense for you to continuously do that? Because now you have, over what is it? How many homes do you own right now?
12.
12 homes. So we're a dozen homes that you've accumulated and that you are now cash flowing from. So tell me, when did that start, and what motivated you to go into that?
Well, I mean, just the me getting into real estate was the start of it, because we knew that's what our retirement needed to be. So we needed to figure out how to do it. And then at the beginning, some of our houses were opportunities where the homeowner was going into foreclosure, or bad things happened, and we were kind of there to rescue them.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple of our houses where the homeowner's just like, I'm going to lose it, and we were there to help them. So we took properties on that way.
Okay.
And then pretty much every one of our homes has a story behind it, whether we purchased it for one of our kids while going to college and now it's a rental, or while my daughter's at the Air Force Academy, we still have that one. There is a story behind each one of them, and then we decide which ones that we wanted to fix and flip and the ones we wanted to keep. And we weren't really enjoying, as much as we thought, the flip market.
Yeah.
And that's where
Why is that?
it's just, it felt good to rehab something into something pretty.
Yeah.
But it felt like, like our money was gone,
Yeah.
and we wanted something more sustainable that would be, cash flow for the future. So
Let's camp on that just 1 second, because, there's all these shows on TV about the glamour of fix and flips and how amazing it is and how much money you're going to make.
yeah.
How was that for you guys? Because, you have actually the perfect setup for fix and flip. You being the real estate agent, your husband being the contractor, that it will be kind of the dream team. But at some point, fix and flips kind of lost their luster for you.
Well, because I think my husband is a perfectionist, and so am I. So we couldn't just do what I see a lot of rehabbers do and just kind of put lipstick on it. And I've seen houses that have had structural damage.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, it's got a beautiful drywall on it, and nobody knows what's underneath. And that just wasn't working for us.
Yeah.
We would wind up putting more money than we totally budgeted because we wanted to make it perfect.
Yeah.
We put in sewer lines and stuff like that. And it's just, it didn't feel as good for us. Now, I had talked to plenty of my clients through flipping houses and stuff like that, and it's worked great for them. But I think we wanted to build our portfolio and be more investors,
Yeah.
turn this career into the investment side,
Yeah.
and see how that would carry us for many more years.
Right. And it's, fix and flip is very transitional, right? It's like you're after the next transaction every time, and everyone is different. Everyone has its set of challenges.
Yes.
And it's very
Hidden challenges.
Yeah. Hidden challenges. Yeah. Yeah. Like you see them on the surface because all those opportunities are like quick. Hey, let's make a decision. Let's buy it quick. So you don't have a lot of time to look under the hood and, take it to a mechanic or, just, inspect the sewer lines and the plumbing and the electrical and this and that, right? That's basically you're in so many ways just rolling the dice. Let's make sure that this works.
There's a lot of things that you're not in control of.
Yeah.
So, and the market is the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as we saw in June of 23, where it just plummeted,
Yeah.
Overnight. We had the beautiful year of 22. We had 40, 50 people in an open house and multiple offers by the end of the weekend. And literally the next weekend, nobody.
Wow.
So when you're flipping, you're at the mercy of that.
Yeah.
And it's hard. So when you have an investment, then if prices are high, rents are going to be really good, and it's just a better way to hold on to your investment.
Yeah. So you realize fix and flips are probably not sustainable long term. You start buying some of these homes that now you own in cash flow. Tell me a little bit about your opinion on debt. Like, do you have debt on your homes? Do you pay it down? Are you the Dave Ramsey that you want zero debt on your stuff, or you've used that to your favor?
Well, I like the theory of using other people's money.
Okay.
So a little OPM. Did we buy? Yes, we took a line of credit out in our first house. Well, we bought our very first house. Clint rehabbed it. We sold it, made $20,000.
Nice.
Okay, we were in our 20s, making $8 an hour. We're like, okay, this is awesome. Bought our second house. Clint fixed it up, raised our kids there, and that is still one of our rentals. And then we took, but we paid cash for that.
Yeah.
So then we took a line of credit out, and we bought another house.
Nice.
And then we paid that off.
Okay.
And then we followed that trend, and out of our properties, 3 of them are mortgaged, and that is because when the rates were 3, and 2 and 3 and 4%,
Free money.
that is absolutely free money. Yeah. So we refinanced them, or we financed them, got the money out, and bought another property.
Yeah.
That we paid cash for. So, and then now our tenants just pay that mortgage, and we have 2 properties for the price of one.
Yeah.
And we're not even paying for the one.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a no-brainer.
That's awesome. So I'm going to unpack that a little bit. So you basically have used leverage in your favor. You kind of went incrementally, built some equity in the home, took a line of credit, bought another one, lived there for a little bit, or used it as a rental. And then you basically bought that. And then eventually you take advantage when the cycles of interest rates are low to use all that equity and buy more assets. So what I like that you told us is you've used debt in your favor when other people are paying for it, right? And you've used the valleys in the interest rate market to go buy more assets, right? But I don't think you've ever stopped buying, right? That's the thing, that you've always tried to buy more assets over time. Now, I'm sure people have been watching you, and there's people that you probably know for 10, 20 years that have seen you grow this portfolio of homes.
Absolutely.
Have a lot of people follow on your steps that are like in the industry or maybe outside?
Not as many as I'd hoped.
Why do you think that is?
I think that I think that real estate scares people.
Yeah.
Because it is so up and down. But when we financed these houses, it was a win-win. The prices were high, the interest rates were low.
Right.
So we got a great line of credit because the value of the house was way up here and the interest rate was down here. Even in this market right now, where buying is a perfect time. Yes, interest rates are high 7s, high 6s, low 7s, but prices are down here.
Correct.
So they're not here with a 5% mortgage. They're here with a 6%. So, and you can always refinance this part, but you can never get the price you paid for your house changed over again. So as much as I try to educate people, some just don't get it. And I would hope that more people would listen to what I've been through and what I can tell them, and kind of use my expertise to build their portfolio. Some have, and I'm super proud of them. But I wish more would listen.
And that's what we're hoping here with the Infinite Cashflow Podcast, right? So that people out there that are watching you and that see your journey, close to 1,000 homes sold, and you have a dozen homes in your portfolio that are cash flowing and that are basically building you wealth every single day, now take that advice and, go buy more assets, because that's really the key. You have your homes, and I think you also own your own commercial space, right? Your own office.
Yes.
For your business.
Yes.
That's awesome. So let's go back a little bit to, you became an entrepreneur. You've been now selling homes for 20 plus years. I know Clint has also been an entrepreneur for a long time.
Yeah.
And you guys have built that. Now you're at a stage where you only pick the clients that you want to work with, which is a great place to be. And also you're mentoring some folks that you want to mentor to become great real estate agents like yourself, right? So tell me a little bit about what drives you, what motivates you, what moves you to continue to have success? Because since I've met you, I've seen you work more hours than I see a lot of people work, right? Evenings work. So, we met at conferences, you're working while you are attending the conference, and you're a very busy individual. Like, what's that drive coming from?
I have, great question. I've always had that drive.
Yeah.
And I'm an A personality.
Yeah.
So I believe in perfection. It's a blessing and a curse. And I just this is a tough question for me because I didn't get raised with a whole lot of motivation. I was never even told to go to college.
No.
And so I mean, people are surprised to know I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
And I am who I am because I'm self-taught. And that motivation is just, I have the desire to never fail.
Yeah.
And I know failure is not a bad thing, but it's just something that I don't want to do. From being a young child, I felt like I've always been fighting my entire life.
Yeah.
Didn't have a really great upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to survive.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. I'm just constantly in survival mode,
Yeah.
making sure that every day is better than the last, and really trying to make sure that anybody's life that I enter that day, that I make an impact.
Yeah.
I know that having a bad day is kind of up to you. You can either have, let people take you down or lift you up. But I don't want to be that reason why somebody has to decide, to have a bad day or not.
Yeah.
So I do that with my clients as well. So I don't want to disappoint my clients. In real estate, you don't get to pick. It's not 9 to 5. It's not Monday through Friday. It's literally, anybody who knows me knows that Friday is my Monday, Saturday is my Monday, Sunday is my Monday. And I love Mondays when they come because everybody else is working and then I can catch up.
That's right.
So I work holidays, I work weekends, I work nights. So it doesn't matter. I just have found ways to get life into my work.
Yeah.
But I love what I do.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting to a point where I really want to share my knowledge with people, and I want to make them successful, and I want to, venture into different levels of it. In real estate, you can pick your niche, you can do any level that you want.
Yep.
If you don't want to get out of your pajamas that day, that's fine. Well, guess what? You don't have a paycheck in 30 days.
That's right.
So you have to be self-motivated and you have to keep going. And that's just who I am. And I did spend many years of the beginning of my career wanting more for people than they wanted for themselves.
Yeah.
And that was a hard lesson for me to learn because I was disappointed a lot.
Right. That you wanted for them to want it as bad as you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw the potential, but they didn't. So that drives me absolutely crazy. So that has been something that I have had to kind of tame down a little bit and chill out and finally realize that, I'm going to give you everything I know and everything I have, and then you decide what you want to do with it. So right now, I'm loving investing. I'm loving getting to know you and CS3 and Aspire in this new life that I feel I have.
Yeah.
After all of these years, all this knowledge that I have, now I want to put it into something bigger and better and greater, but yet not forget who got me to where I am today.
Exactly. No, I love that because you care enough for people that sometimes you want more for them than they want it for themselves, right?
Yeah.
I struggle with that my whole life because I've always seen a lot of potential in people, and I want to sometimes, shake him and it's like, hey, wake up.
Yeah.
I could do this.
Yeah.
But the reality, what I found out, and maybe you have too, is the only way to really move people is to eventually wake up something in them by you achieving that success. And it might never come for them, but if you can just do it with a handful, a dozen, maybe 50, 100, then that's amazing because they're going to go impact other people along the way.
I think you're either going to impact them and they're going to carry it on, or you're going to have haters.
Yeah.
Haters and people that are jealous and
Yeah.
people that are just constantly trying to bring you down.
Yeah.
That, they don't want to come to your level. They want you to come to theirs. And
Right.
That drives me crazy.
Has that happened to you?
Yes, a few times. Yeah, and I don't, I you have to have a supportive family. I've got a husband who,
That's right.
again, backs everything I do, and vice versa. But there's a lot of people in your life that don't understand why you can't go to that party, or why you have to work all weekend and can't take it off. And it's hard. And eventually you get to a point where you're like so disappointed. You're like, you know what? You're right. I don't want to work weekends anymore.
Yeah.
I want to go do this. But that's not me.
That's right.
And it's not me anymore. Because I've changed, I've evolved, I've grown, and I'm excited
Yeah.
about the next chapter.
Yeah.
And you just can't do this job half time. You've got to be committed
That's right.
all the time. There are agencies out there that literally set they're only going to work from this hour to this hour, and they don't work weekends, and they don't take calls, and they're no longer around anymore.
That's right.
So
Yeah. Especially when the market starts getting tough, it really thins the herd, right? The ones that just basically threw mud at the wall and it stuck because the market was so good, that's no longer happening, right?
and people that have been in the industry a long time really love those times.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have thousands and thousands of agents in Denver, and we have thousands too many.
Yeah.
So it reads out the ones that were never serious, the ones that kind of bring our industry down, and allows the rest of us who are in it to win it and committed
Yeah.
to get the job done.
That's awesome. So now this next chapter, you're learning a lot. I've seen you at conferences. I've seen you at masterminds. I've seen you at events. We are hosting events here in Denver together to attract some people that want to go to the next level in real estate investing. You started to invest in commercial real estate. How's that exciting you? What is the next step for you?
That was super exciting. Again, that's a big leap, because you're not like putting $10,000 down to buy a house. You're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars down into an investment that you have some control over. Because again, it is the market, but it's a different, you have to have faith and trust in the people that you're investing with.
Yeah.
That's super important, because I just wouldn't throw, a year's salary at just anybody and say, here, go make me some money. Like, I don't expect my clients to do that to me. So they trust me to make them some money. And I'm doing the same. And I'm super excited because I know that multifamily and these bigger projects are, I can learn, yet I have enough knowledge to know about it, and I'm learning more, and I'm so excited. And I'm bubbling over with excitement, trying to bring other people into it as well.
Yeah, help them understand.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, a lot of this stuff has always been there, but, like me, I didn't realize it. Like, I was an entrepreneur for 15 years, making money in my businesses and, making good money, paying a whole lot of taxes. And I never was introduced to a real estate investment, not even a fix and flip, let alone a commercial deal where my money can grow, cash flow, and appreciate, and make some amazing returns, and of course tax benefits. Like, you as a real estate agent for so many years here in Denver, have you ever run into the idea of investing in large projects, or was it also new to you?
No, it was new to me, which drives me crazy. But as we've learned in the last couple of years, there are contributors and there's creators.
That's right.
And you look back, and I think I've fallen back on this so many times in the last year. We're never taught this as kids. Like, we're never taught how to manage money.
Yeah.
And I tell one of my agents here, you're taught how to save your money by people that have no money. And so you don't get these skills. So now I'm just at a different level. Like, I've been in this industry and nobody told me about this.
Yeah.
And nobody, if I had been doing this for the last 20 years, what a difference.
Oh, yeah.
So people now need to realize, we're bringing it to your attention.
Yes.
Listen up, learn, soak it in. And if it's something that you have just even the smallest ounce of interest in, take the jump, take a leap, and make it happen, because you're going to have nothing but regrets.
Yeah, that's so true. And, I think one of the biggest things that I see, I went to college, I had a blessing to go to college, and I can tell you there's moments in my life where I went to college and I thought I knew it all, right? Okay, I'm an engineer already. I have a master's degree. I went for business. And then quickly enough, I realized, oh, shoot, I know nothing. I know nothing about money. I know nothing about investing. I don't know about debt. I don't know about taxes. I don't know about all these things that I see people talk about out there. And you can either take one or two approaches. You can kind of close off and say, hey, that's a scam, that like nobody does that. Only the rich can have access. Or what I had to do is I had to humble myself and say, you know what? I'm going to go back to be a student for the rest of my life. And there's people out there that know a lot more than me. And I either can listen and learn and grow, or I can just stay at this level and hope for the same future that I see everybody around me. And that felt like jail, right?
Oh, buddy.
That felt hard. So, and that's another thing that I've seen in you, that you're really hungry to learn.
Yes.
And to,
I love it.
and to start. I mean, I see every time you hear a book title, let's get it. Let's listen to it. So,
Yes.
so for those folks out there, I think the biggest cost in life is the cost of ignorance. The second is taxes, but the biggest cost is the cost of ignorance, what you don't know.
Absolutely. And there is a lot we don't know.
That's right.
A lot we don't know. And if you do decide to invest in all of that, then you have to learn, how am I going to save this money that I'm earning? And you got to start learning about tax-free. And to me, it's a challenge and I love it. And I'm just like trying to soak it up like a sponge.
Yeah.
And teach it at the same time, because I'm super excited and I want to bring people in, and they're going to be receptive or not. But yeah, you think, I've been selling for 22 years and I'm like, I can sell a house, no problem. There's nothing I can't sell. And now I'm like, I haven't even tried to do that. So it's really opened my eyes and just kind of refreshed and regenerated my motivation.
Yeah.
Because I felt like there's no house I can't sell. I've been through everything, which again is a lie, because still every day and every transaction brings something new, and you're just like, wow. And so now I want to jump into your world.
That's awesome.
And be that, and then you have to think of your kids.
Yeah.
I'm 55, and I wish I was 25 and knew all this information, but my kids are in their 20s.
That's right.
So I'm teaching them so that they won't have to be at my age going, why did nobody tell me this stuff? And so I'm trying to bring that next generation in to teach them a little family wealth and how to, we've worked really hard to get all these rentals and all this cash flow and all this future for them, that I want them to know what to do with it and how to make it grow from there.
Exactly. Because being a good steward of the wealth is very important too. Because I think, a lot of people can make a lot of money. And I just had actually an uncle of mine pass away, and he shared my name. His name is Carlos. My grandma's brother, one of the most successful guys in the family. He built a company in Mexico, sold the company, made millions of dollars. And I remember growing up, like, he was rich Uncle Carlos, right? And everybody looked up to him because he would, come to Ecuador and buy homes, and everybody would look up to him because of his success. Now here's the sad part. He had a lot of kids, and I don't think any of the kids actually learned the business part, learned entrepreneurship. So he just sadly passed away with no knowledge or legacy passed on to the next generation, and pretty much lost his whole fortune, even in his elderly age. So I think that what you're saying is so important, that, hey, look, you can go all make money, but the knowledge is, I think, even more precious to be passed on to the kids. And we pray and hope that the kids actually take that.
It's like winning the lottery. How many people that win the lottery are now broke?
That's right.
Because they don't know what to do with it. So you need that continuous knowledge of learning what you don't know.
Yes.
And and surrounding yourself with people that will bring that to your attention and to that will challenge you and bring you in the path that you want to go, because you can't do this on your own.
That's right.
'Cause we thought we knew everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And clearly we were finding out in the last year we do not.
No, that's what I'm saying. Look, it doesn't matter how much wealth we create. We got to remain students. We
Absolutely.
got to remain humble. I think that's one of the things that I admire in you and Clint, that you, even though you're so successful, you're incredibly humble. You're easy to approach. You talk to everybody. You actually are always asking me, hey, how we can help the little guy invest, right? Every time I see it's like, hey, what about the $5,000 guys? So, and I think that's the mom in you as well.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, right? Because there's the opportunity there. And I always tell, hey, if somebody has small money, the first investment they should make is in themselves, right?
That's a great point.
They shouldn't go buy real estate. They should go to a conference, to a mastermind, educate themselves, build up the skill set so that they can go make the big money with that skill set.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that I've been doing that. So I know you've been doing it.
Yes.
And yeah.
At some point, did it feel weird though to you that, hey, you went to a conference and now, oh shoot, I have to pay 10 grand, 15 grand to go into a mastermind, and I had never done that. Like, how did that feel to you?
I truly had never done it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I didn't get into the Aspire group knowing anything of what they've been teaching. I went to because Mary from Selling Sunset, she was a realtor, and with the 6-inch stilettos and the tiny skirts and super successful selling real estate in California. She was going to be one of the speakers. And I'm like, I just want to meet her.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool. And then I left there so inspired, so motivated, so just bubbly inside. And she wound up being the worst speaker there. So I don't even remember her anymore, her speeches about Marcus Lemonis and Magic Johnson.
All of them.
And Andrew Cordell and Eddie Wilson. They're tremendous people. And I just want to be surrounded by that.
Yeah.
Because it's empowering and I love it. I'm not a when people see you, they think, she's greedy, she's money hungry, all this stuff. No, money is just kind of a benefit.
That's right.
Of learning and using your knowledge into making money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't sell a house and sit there and calculate the commission, but oh my God, I can't sell that house, I'm only going to make this. No, it doesn't matter. I'm going to sell the house for you, and what I get.
That's right.
And I understand that, and that's my motivation, not greed in any way.
Yeah.
It is knowledge and wanting to take care of my kids. My kids are the most important thing in my life. They're doing very well themselves in the Air Force, and they're super wonderful, awesome girls.
That's awesome.
And truly, they don't need us. But I want to take care of them, and I want to make sure that, and they appreciate the fact that, mom and dad have worked really, really hard and are still working and learning. And we're doing it because, we want to hand over this knowledge and all of this to them.
And help other people too in the process.
Absolutely.
And eventually the grandkids will come.
Yes.
So that's
And you talk about having to, invest. And no, I've never paid anybody to teach me anything like that. And it was a large investment that she made. And it didn't take me more than 30 seconds to make the plunge, because I'm like, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
And we're teaching free classes.
Yeah.
Right now on this stuff and trying to introduce this to people for free.
That's right.
And people don't understand the value in that. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
Andrew and Eddie got it, and that's why they started what they did and wanted to teach people. And I just want to bring the junior version down to Denver and say, look what we've learned, and look what I want to, we want to teach you.
Yeah.
So be open-minded and want to learn.
And I think to that point, the community that you build, when there's enough people that want to level up, that want to learn, that want to grow, and you are like-minded, and the energy that gets around, that's really what makes this work. because, I think that very few people are the Lone Ranger type of going into the wilderness and, hey, let's go find gold, or let's go, find the wealth. People need to be encouraged by others that are going in the same direction.
Well, sure. Are they going to go and just fund a, multi-million-dollar apartment complex and fund it themselves and run it themselves? And you can't do this on your own. So being around those like-minded people is so important.
Yeah.
It's inspiring.
Yeah. So many years you had never invested in commercial real estate. Now you just invested in a beautiful 216 unit deal that we did together.
Yeah.
And now you know that that's possible. But like you said, you won't do it on your own. Like, you need partners and you need people that understand how that works.
Yeah.
So that you can come along and participate. And this is where the wealthy store their money, by the way, right? The wealthy store their money in large commercial projects that have scale and have the opportunity to grow multiple times over in value. Now, what is that for you when you made that first investment and now you're actually opening the doors to other people to do it with you? Is that scary, exciting? Is that, hey, I want to give you this gift? What does it feel to you as you grow and learn and invest more and, of course, talk to other people about it?
Well, of course it was scary.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, you have to trust who you're investing with. And again, the factors that you don't control over. And it's just a lot of money and you work really hard for that money.
Yeah.
And we were always taught, work, save, spend. Work, save, spend. Just keep that pattern. And this has a potential of just making those areas explosive and expansive. And no, I want to make sure that that people understand the power in this. Yes, pretty much every billionaire in this world owns real estate.
That's right.
I mean, it's where and I feel very fortunate that I'm in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all in. I feel very confident where our market is going, where our economy is going, and multifamily is going to be a forever investment.
Yeah.
Somebody's always going to have a place to live, and they can't afford a house.
Yeah, that's right.
I get that. So it's got to be with a rental. So, I just want to encourage others to take that leap.
Yeah.
And just trust.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to just put it out there. And I mean, you're fantastic. You and your crew at finding opportunities.
Thank you.
And you're not going to invest in something that, that you don't believe in.
Yeah.
It's investment. So there's always a risk, needless to say. But you invest in your projects.
That's right.
And I would not try to sell something that I wouldn't invest in myself.
Mm-hmm. So
I bought houses. I've done flips. I've done everything that I've taught my clients to do, I've done. And now I can happily say that I've been a part of this. It's working. I've already seen, money coming back, a dividend. So, it's just the next level of learning for me.
And I think one of the golden rules that I follow now, didn't know it before, is when you look at an opportunity, is ask the person that is doing it, hey, are you doing this too? Because I saw a question this morning about financial advisors in one of the groups that we share. And one of the challenges that I've always had with financial advisors, and of course this is my opinion, is that many times when I sat across the table from a financial advisor, they would recommend me a menu of things to buy. Hey, you should get your money in this and that. This is a mutual fund. This is an ETF. This is this and that. And I would always ask the question, oh, that's cool. How much money do you have invested in this stuff? And I will always get these blank stares and say, oh, no. Or an answer that is a non-answer.
Conflict of interest.
Or a conflict of interest, or we can't because of this, or that never really made sense, right? So the beautiful thing about what I do now is that the projects that we find and invest in, like, I'm investing my money.
Yeah.
I am buying into the deal first. And I have skin in the game. And I think that for anybody out there, that's the way that you should do business. Yeah, so, that's really for people that are looking at opportunities. Just, bet them enough that you understand, the project, the property, the market. If you're investing in real estate, the market, is it growing? Is it shrinking? Where are the people coming from? And more importantly, like, who are they? And what is their track record? But also, how committed and sold into the deal they are, not only with their words and with their pitch, but, do they have money in this thing?
Yes, and do they know what they're getting into? Because if you don't have any knowledge in this,
That's right.
then that's the scary part of investing, and that's not necessary.
Yeah. So interesting. And taking advice from people that really have never done it, because that's what I see a lot. Sometimes people ask their friends, their buddies, their acquaintances, their cousins, their family, and of course, none of them have ever invested or been successful or done anything that is major, but they're very good at shutting people down as well. So just as good as you can take advantage of a great opportunity, you can lose a great opportunity by listening to the wrong people. Has that ever happened to you? Where people have tried to tell you, oh, don't do that because...
Yeah. And just in my career alone.
Yeah.
Like, why are you spending so much time and investing it into your company, and why are you doing things like that? And I think that, and it's not, it's your journey. So if you're comfortable with it, then it really doesn't matter what other people say. So if you're going to listen to other people, and on the flip side, if a good investor isn't also, going to take everybody in, you're vetting people as well.
Yeah.
And you're like, if you're not a good person and I don't trust, your commitment, you very well may say, I don't really want you in this project.
Yeah.
And I think that shows the sign of a good investor as well, because he knows he's not desperate, and he knows what this project is going to. This is something I faced my entire career, in real estate. Even I'm at the point in my career where if you and I aren't seeing the same page, if you think, you went on to Zillow and you said your house is worth this,
Yeah.
and I'm saying your house is worth this, and we're not going to come to a happy median about this, and you're not going to respect my opinion as the professional, I'll choose not to work with you.
Right.
Because just because you have a house and people have money for you and houses for me, it doesn't mean that they're a good fit.
That's right.
For us. And I think that's super important. And you may not see that, like at the beginning of my career. It didn't matter if we didn't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
I needed business, I worked hard, and I got abused a lot.
Yeah.
A lot with people. And I think in the investment world as well, that is there's a high probability of that, and you have to be a smart, if you're initiating the investment, you have to be smart about the people you bring in.
Very important. Yeah, very important. Especially because we want people for the long haul that understand what the journey is, right?
Yes.
These beautiful properties that we go after, we hold them for 5 to 10 years. So we definitely want to make sure that people are comfortable with that, and that we are never taking anybody's last dollar. That's so important. I always tell people, like, look, if somebody tells you that this is the last dollar, that they're betting everything on this, don't do it.
Whoa.
Yeah, don't do it. Please don't. Yeah, keep your money, invest it in yourself, do a deal that you control and you operate, because I always believe people should bet on themselves. If they don't trust themselves, that's a different story. But like, you have demonstrated that you bet on yourself. You left that office job to go into the wilderness of real estate, betting on yourself and betting on yourself every day for the last 22 years without any guarantees.
Correct.
Right? Without any guarantees that tomorrow you're going to find the next deal, you're going to get the next client, or anything like that. And I think as entrepreneurs, we learn to live with that uncomfort, right? That discomfort of not having anything guaranteed, but we know that we have faith that, hey, you built it enough, now you know how to go create it, right?
And the ones that have that confidence in themselves and believe
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that are going to be successful.
Yeah.
Because if you're like, oh, I'll dabble in this, I'll try.
That's right.
You're going to be trying another job soon.
That's right. Yeah. Trying doesn't cut it. Dabbling doesn't cut it. Doing it whenever it's convenient never cuts it.
It's like having a kid. There's never a good time.
That's right.
You can never afford to have a child. It's never good timing, most of the time, but you make it happen.
Yeah.
Because you love that child and you believe in it and you believe in being a parent and you make it work. And that's what being a successful parent is the same thing in the business world.
So true.
You love what you have. You want to nurture it. You want to grow it. You want to make it the best thing that's ever out there. And now that my kids are grown, I feel obligated and I want to take on, I have so many beautiful friends that have these wonderful kids that are all in their 20s. And I want to shake them and I want to grab them and I want to be like, come learn. Let me teach you how to be successful by the time you're my age.
Right.
And it's a scary thing for them because they were never taught anything other than work, save, buy a house, get married, get a dog, have kids. That's what life is all about. Well, that's a great path.
Mm-hmm.
It's not everybody's path.
Mm-hmm.
But there's ways to make things better between those lines.
And put money to work so that eventually it works for you harder than you're working for yourself.
Yeah.
And another big thing that I never learned was the tax part, right? How to be tax efficient and how to be tax free eventually.
Yeah.
And I know you guys have been very excited about that piece.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, like me, you paid for many, many years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in taxes.
Yes.
And many times we just accept it. We just say, this is the way it is. I'm going to keep working hard. Because
It's our God-given responsibility to pay taxes.
That's right. Be a patriot, pay taxes.
But the reality is they write taxes for people to do things better in the world. So people feel guilty when they don't pay taxes, which sounds absurd.
Yes.
But that's a different mindset. You just have to think out of the box and think differently than everybody else.
Yeah. And I think conditioning plays a part. You've been doing it for so long that becomes a bad habit. And if you carry that bad habit, when somebody tells you, hey, look, there's this different way that is 100% legal to be more tax efficient and avoid them, can you do it? Then you almost have like this knee-jerk reaction to, oh, that must be illegal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to do it. Because the 3-letter agency is one of the scariest things that people face in their life, even though in reality, it is created for you to take full opportunity of these advantages. So how has that been for you guys in the time that you've been learning more about it, to be excited about, hey, we're going to pay very little taxes and eventually maybe no taxes at all. But of course, using that money, how the government wants you to use it to give you those opportunities to not pay it.
Yes, I had, again, no idea that concept was even out there. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
It's not the way we were, raised.
Mm-hmm.
But there's it's almost like a kick in the gut because there's a tremendous amount of money that I know I paid that I didn't have to. And I don't mind paying taxes. As my accountant would say, it's good to pay taxes means you're making money. And that is true, but that doesn't mean I have to take all my money.
That's right.
So that is another way. And on the small scale, I like to, teach people what can be written off on your closing statement and your interest and all of that. That's just the teeny tiniest part of tax-free wealth.
Yeah.
And it's just so, by the time it gets to your level and beyond, I mean, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
It's tremendous. And I approach as many people as I can because, I'm from Jersey, so we're talkers.
Uh-huh.
And I like to teach, and I want people to kind of come to the light. And when I approach people, it's different because if I already see in your eyes, I've lost you and you're not interested, then, I'm not going to come at you. You need to realize, what I'm trying to do to you and what I'm trying to teach you and what I'm trying to help you with, and just see. I mean, if someone would have brought this to me so many years ago, it would have been a different story. So
Yeah.
I mean, and you came from humble beginnings, and you worked your way up, and we both have made a lot of mistakes, but the best part is that
So true.
we're learning now, and we're turning it around, and
Yeah. A lot of people think that, and I, for me, it was trial and error, right? Trial and error, because I was carrying bad habits from my childhood, of, distrust and no partners and debt free always, and, just do it this way and this is the way, and, all those things. So part of learning is also unlearning the bad habits and removing what doesn't serve you to install the new operating system so that you can now work at a upgraded version of yourself.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that is challenging for folks, because change is uncomfortable.
No.
Change is uncomfortable. So when people hear this tax-free world that many of us live in, their first reaction is like, no, they're doing something scammy, it's wrong, whatever. But the reality is that one of the things that I like now is that with social media and YouTube and the opportunity, and even for you folks listening to this podcast, is, even if it just sparks a curiosity, you can now go look it up, learn, and find, hey, yeah, this is in fact real, right?
And do your due diligence of making sure that you're not, being convinced on the other side.
Exactly right.
And that's just part of learning instead of just being told what to do.
Exactly right. Yeah. So Jenelle, it's been an absolute pleasure to spend some time with you. I want to give the audience just a little bit of a message of what do you think is important that they do or they move forward with to, change their financial future. I know you guys have had a tremendous success in your businesses, with your real estate, with your kids, obviously many of your areas of your life, your marriage, your parents, your financial house is in order, and you now have the time to go to the next level. So please give to those that are watching just what's in your heart.
That is a great question. And in kind of a personal choice, but the biggest thing is our life is nothing but a bunch of sacrifices. So we made those choices to want to be better people, to want to raise better kids than the kids we see out there, to have a future than most of the people in this world. So that was all very motivating for us. And we're not the kind of people that are like, well, Carlos is doing it, so we should do it. We always had our journey and our vision, and we never strayed from that. So we worked really super hard. And I want people to realize what their vision is, and know that, I tell my kids all the time, they're in the Air Force. Where do you want to be, in 10 years, in 20 years? And just make sure that every decision that you make is in line with that vision.
I like that.
And when you stray off of it, everything's a choice.
Yeah.
No matter what you think you're given in life, it's a choice, because you may have not chosen what was presented to you, but you can choose how you react. With my childhood, I could either have been a victim or a survivor. As a kid, you can choose to do the wrong things in high school or do the right things. And everywhere, every single day, everything you do is a choice. There's a consequence for every choice, good or bad. And we know that. We know we haven't always made the best choices.
Yeah. And
we've lost a lot of things in our life, but we always made sure that we had the same goals and the same vision, and that we just work super hard for it. And life is not easy. It seems easy, you be a TikToker and you make $1 million and life is good, but that's not reality.
But then they shut down TikTok and everything's gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and your whole career is done.
That's right.
It's not the reality for the majority of the world, and I don't think working hard was ever not a requirement for as long as, the world's been around.
Yeah, so true.
Everybody has worked hard, and that is how you become successful. Harder, smarter, not harder.
Smarter or harder. And if you do both, if you work hard and you work smart, double whammy. I think that's really
endless.
endless. Yeah.
Endless. So it's all in where do you want to be?
Yeah.
Do you want to stay in your little space? Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. It's just not where I wanted to be. And I want to spread the word. And if people want to come, I'm going to approach people, and I'm going to try to make them investors because I believe in it so wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a part of that, that's fantastic.
Good too.
Do what you do,
Mm-hmm.
and I will do me.
That's awesome. Jenelle, I want to thank you because you're an inspiration to so many people. Thank you for working so hard, for being successful, for building a business, for living the American dream, for having a family and raising great kids. We need more people like you in this world to be an example to others, because that's really how the world becomes a better place, with people that are focused and driven and that love this country and that love what it stands for and that, create a family. I think that's more of what we need. So I thank you for being in the Infinite Cashflow Podcast. For those of you guys that are watching, that are listening, please subscribe, click the notification button, join us in the next episode. It's been a pleasure.